Hey guys, I thought we should talk a little bit about Ivy League admission because I've been getting some questions. And one of the things I wanted you to understand about Ivy League admission is that it's kind of different than applying for your neighborhood college. And I thought we should really talk it through a bit so that you understand. First of all, the Ivy League schools are Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, Harvard, Penn, Princeton, and Yale. These colleges are competing against one another, and they usually will attract the same students who apply to all of them or many or most of them all at one time. And each one of those colleges does not want to give you admission if they think for a moment that you're going somewhere else. Okay. So you have to prove to each one that they're the only one that you really, really want to attend, or that if you're offered admission to all eight, that that's the one that you're going to go to. The other thing you need to understand about all of the Ivy League schools, they have a tremendously small admission rate. They might have a 5% admission rate or a 10% admission rate. And that means that 90% of people who are completely qualified to go to that school, 90% of them don't get in. Okay. So the number one thing I need you to understand about Ivy League admission is that they are always a reach school for everyone. It doesn't matter how smart your child is. It doesn't matter what activities your child has been involved in. It doesn't matter if they're an Olympian or perfect test scores across the board, SAT, ACT, all the APs. It doesn't matter if they've cured cancer, right? It is a reach school for everyone. Each individual Ivy League school is a reach school for everyone. When you are in that category of being qualified for Ivy League schools, a lot of times it feels like the decisions they make on who gets in is based on a flip of a coin. And that's not too far off, really. If there is, if they have only a 10% admission rate, there is literally a 90% chance that your child will not get into that school, no matter how qualified they are. And that can be a very scary thing. Okay, so that's the bad news. The good news is all of the Ivy League schools are very homeschool friendly. Homeschoolers actually have a higher admission rate to Ivy League schools than public schoolers do. Now, part of that is because we have such uniqueness. Our students are able to achieve more in less amount of time, and therefore they have more activities. And because of the things that we're involved in, or they tend to be more real world experiences, they tend to have more leadership opportunities, etc. And so homeschoolers do very, very well in compared to public school admissions. And they are homeschool friendly colleges, but being homeschooled alone is not a shoo-in. It doesn't mean you're automatically going to be admitted to an Ivy League school. Okay. So you want to be careful about that because rejection can happen, even though homeschoolers do very, very well in comparison. Okay. Now, the other thing I wanted you to think about too is that when you're gearing up for Ivy League schools, there's going to be some additional things that are required of your student. Many of the Ivy League schools rely heavily on subject tests, on SAT subject tests and AP subject tests. And it is not uncommon for an Ivy League school, just speaking in broad general terms here, that they would have 5 subject tests required. And they may say that they see 5 SAT subject tests as what is actually required. And that's true, but what they will often see from applicants is 5 AP tests, and APs are much, much more difficult than a regular SAT subject test. So what I want you to do is to start thinking early. If you're thinking that Ivy League is the way to go, I want you to be thinking early about how can you make sure that you have enough subject tests, enough AP tests without beating the love of learning out of your child. Because it is possible for you to take too many APs and have your child completely burn out before they get to college. And actually, that's a big problem in Ivy League freshman students, right? The kids that are actually there on campus tend to be some of the most burned out kids, and therefore go a little bit crazy when they start freshman year. So you don't want to overwork your child. You want to be thinking about spreading it out kind of evenly throughout the years. When you're gearing up to Ivy League admission, don't focus on the one thing that your child wants to do. If your child wants to be an engineer, say, and you're focused only on math and science, they don't want that. They want somebody who has a very broad education and really understands history and literature and has PE and they're physically fit, who has a lot of a foreign language, enough to bring unique experiences and a unique language culture to the school. Now, one of the interesting things about Ivy League schools is they're looking for a group of students that are going to be talking together in classrooms for 4 years, right? These cadres of students that will go through all 4 years of school together. And they're looking for diversity among this cadre. They want to see people that have widely varied life perspectives, conservatives and liberals, and people of different countries, people from different parts of the United States, people that don't necessarily speak the same primary language. They're looking for variety. So as you're thinking about what can you bring to Ivy League admission, you want to accentuate what is unusual about your child and what they can bring to the conversation. So if your child has been involved in a public policy think tank for some conservative organization, you want to really highlight that as something unique and different that will bring the voice of conservatism to this cadre so that they can all talk and learn together about different worldviews and different cultures. So think about what you can bring to the admission process. One of the unique things that you can do with Ivy League admission as well is just to make sure that you are addressing each specific school in your application essay as much as possible. If you can speak to what it is about that one Ivy that you love more than any of the others, right? Here's what I love more than the others. I love Harvard more because when I visited and I spoke to this professor and I slept overnight and met this person, they were the best and they had the best lab equipment. And, you know, you're getting very specific about why that is the one best school for you. Okay, now one more tip about Ivy League admission. You remember how I said it's a reach school for everyone? Okay. All high school kids that are college bound need to apply for reach and fit and safety schools. A reach is like the Ivy schools, a college where you're kind of hoping you can get in. A fit is where you're most likely to get in. You're exactly in the middle of their test scores. You're exactly all of the requirements that they need. And a safety school is where you're absolutely sure your child can get in and get scholarships. Make sure that you have reach, fit, and safety. Do a double check to make sure that your fit and safety schools will keep your child challenged enough. At many, a regular university, they will have an excellent honors program that can really keep the high-performing students very engaged in their learning and really challenge them. And of course, because they have a smaller group of students, when they come out, they're always top of their class. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to have a fit or a safety school for a super bright child. So that's my bottom line. Make sure that you plan ahead, but that when it comes to applying, you apply for reach, fit, and safety. And Ivy League schools are a reach for everyone. No matter what is going on, no matter how smart your child, I promise you, Ivy League schools are a reach for everyone. All right, well, I hope that helps explain things and that it was encouraging and not discouraging, that I've given you some helpful tips to get in, as well as a little bit of a reality for how difficult it can be. Homeschooling is the easy part of getting into an Ivy League school. Everything else is the hard part. Everything everybody else deals with, that's the hard part. The homeschooling is the easy part. Okay, have a great day, and I hope you have a wonderful time making those decisions about what college to apply to. Take care.